Hello, we're here today with John Mannion. He's a Performance Incorporated strength coach, or strength coach at Performance Incorporated. And John, do you want to tell us how you got started and what got your interest into performance training and strength training, and
Yeah,
what
so
else do you do?
so my whole life was pretty much I was a football player, and like once I got into like high school and you start like working out with the team and stuff, we got into like lifting weights. So like I kind of just like fell in love with like weightlifting and running and training for like my sport. And like once I finished playing in high school and college, I kind of just wanted to keep around like fitness and like training for being an athlete, training to just do life in general. I just always loved like the idea of being able to like change your body and just like staying healthy and like living a healthy lifestyle.
So, how different was the training just for football versus when you got out? Because you did that in high school and college,
Yeah.
right? So, did you strictly do strength training, or did you change it off on your own when you weren't playing? Or?
So like when I was playing, I was obviously like training more for performance, training to be like a better football player, better athlete, like being able to run fast, jump higher, be stronger. Then once I finished playing, I kind of started training like a little bodybuilding, trying to build muscle, but also was trying to stay like functional, being able to be strong and still move. So like now I'd say I train like 50-50, like trying to build muscle and also stay functional.
How do you train most of the clients? So does that depend obviously
Yeah.
on what they're looking for?
Yeah, so like the athletes that come here, you're obviously going to want to train them more for their sport. So if you're a soccer player, football player, baseball, you want to train to be better in that sport. A lot of people just come here just to train and stay healthy and build muscle. You know, some people want to lose fat, some people want to gain muscle. So depending on how they want to look, you can train them that way. And you also, even if someone wants to build muscle or just lose fat, you want to keep it functional too, just so they can live everyday life healthy and stuff, you know.
So how different is the training? Like if you're doing strength training, you probably keep your reps low.
Mhm.
And what do you do for sport-specific training? Also, like how
Yeah.
different is it sports to sport,
Yeah.
like a baseball versus soccer
Yeah.
or something like that?
So like sports training, you want to do more like plyometrics, jumping, change of direction, stuff like that. You also want to do like movement specific to the sport with the resistance too. So you can do like a dynamic row. So instead of just doing like a bent over row, you can kind of do it dynamically, like really pulling into it, stepping into it, just kind of mimic like a sports movement, just to get used to like a dynamic movement with resistance.
Okay, does it also make a difference? Because with the sport, you move in all different directions versus if you're just doing weightlifting, let's say doing
Yeah.
squats, you're just going up and down, but you're really developing just that
Yeah.
one movement.
Yeah.
But if you're playing football and
Yeah.
you're a running back, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to go kind of zigzagging. It's not going to
Yeah, exactly.
do you much
Yeah.
for your sport if you just. It's actually can be detrimental, right?
Yeah.
Because you can
Yeah.
overdevelop
Yeah.
certain things and get hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you prevent that?
Yeah, a lot of training too with sport is also you want to be able to move, change direction, be fast, quick, but you also want to train to prevent injury. So like you want to build strong hamstrings so you protect your knees. Strong hamstrings help with knee injuries. So you want to be training eccentrically, which means like on the way down, just as much as you want to be training concentrically, which is the normal way most people train and focus on. So
What did you? So if you have people coming in just for, let's say, they just want to build muscle. So from all the different people that that you train, did you notice a variety in what people respond to? Is it or do most people respond to the same kind of stimulus?
I mean, most people will respond to the same kind of stimulus, but you know, just for building muscle, you just want to keep the reps more like 8 to 12 rep range. Maybe add in some drop sets here and there. Just add a progressive overload over time. So just progressing the sets each week, the weight each week. Either one will get you to progressive overload.
Did you ever train any genetic freaks that just respond to anything?
No, I've never trained any genetic freaks, but I've definitely been around some that, like from football, that just could look at a weight and just grow. Like they didn't really even put in that much work. They're just naturally like big.
Yeah, that always pisses me
Yeah,
off.
there's this one kid from my Rowan football team, college. he literally didn't even train. He was just like from like Africa, like just big, muscular. Doesn't even work out.
Yeah, well, genetics, you can't fix that. You get your right parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew a couple of people like that. One guy had almost 20 arms. Never lifted weights. So like, we tried to get him to work out, thinking like, how big can he possibly get if he doesn't even work out? Like that. And he was so lazy, he didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
You always wonder how people who have those genetics would be if they did put the work in.
Like, he had the gift, but you had no interest in it whatsoever. He just didn't want to do it. It's like, oh, this is boring.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest challenge that you came across? Was it something that stuck out in your career so far when you tried to do something and didn't work?
The biggest challenge I would say is like, like people come here, they have like a trainer, they kind of expect, some people expect like, oh, I have a trainer, like I'm going to change no matter what. But like, even if you're coming to someone, you still have to put the work in. You have to do what's right outside of the weight room too. You have to keep your nutrition good. And you have to work hard in here. It's kind of just like being in the classroom. Like, you can't just go to class and then not go home and study. You're not going to blame the teacher. Like, you know what you're doing and what you're not doing.
And if you're just going through the motions.
Yeah, like,
you show up.
You get in what you put out and everything. Like, that goes for weightlifting, what your body's going to look like your education, if you're going to school, like, everything. Like, it's what you put in.
I know Joe does a lot with seniors. Do you train any seniors or older?
No, I don't currently train any seniors. I haven't had any experience with seniors, but I'm open to it.
Okay. So what's the age that you
right now? I'm training like adults and from like 50s to mid 60s down to as young as 10 years old. I've trained.
Okay. So majority of athletes, or
I've done about like 30% athletes so far, 70% just the normal person.
Okay. And what would you say it's an advantage of like a private gym like this versus a regular gym that most people go?
Definitely with the private gym, you obviously you don't have to worry about anyone watching you while you train. You don't have to worry about being embarrassed trying a new movement. You can just focus on lifting. And someone's obviously going to be there watching you, me or Joe, training you, making sure you're doing everything right, just giving you the guidance, and you don't have to worry about like any judgment or anything you might feel in a commercial gym.
And I know you guys are big into metrics, so you do that with every client? You keep track of all their...
Yeah, definitely you want to track with every client. Like some tracking is more advanced than others, like the velocity based, but I also like to just use traditional go off maxes and just log reps and sets each week and just do it like old-fashioned way too, nothing fancy.
So what was your, besides football, because when did you start playing football?
I started playing football when I was like 5 or 6.
Oh, so
flag
football.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's way before high school.
Yeah.
So when did you hit the weight room first? Like
the first time I ever started lifting weights was in freshman year when we had to go. Because it was part of the football program. Like if you weren't playing a spring or winter sport, you had to be in the weight room. So that's when I got introduced to lifting weights.
So that's high school.
Yeah.
So did you have any inspirations for that, or was it just like the strength just for football?
No, I mean, to be honest, like I never even like was into weights before. Like I didn't even really have any interest in lifting weights. I kind of just did it for football because we had to. And then I started to just notice changes in like my strength and my physique, and I kind of just like fell in love with the idea that like you can change your body, you can get faster, stronger, jump higher, all those changes that you could just do if you put the work in.
So did you mostly, personally, did you most into strength, or maybe at the time it was just strength because of football, or did that change and more into like?
I mean, while I was playing football, I definitely wanted to be like as strong as possible. And then when I was done, I kind of got into more like wanting to like change my physique, kind of look more aesthetic, but also stay functional. Now I just kind of try to train to stay functional, look aesthetic, and also just staying like good cardiovascular health too, like keeping the cardio and the weights like 50-50.
Okay, so health would be more.
Yeah, I train more for like health and fitness than anything. Like not bodybuilding, not really strength, just like a mix of everything.
Well, for longevity, that's probably long-term goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just can only do certain things for so long.
Exactly.
Like, what's the point if you're not going to play
Yeah,
certain sport?
yeah.
There's no reason to do certain things.
Yeah.
So, what do you have any tips for anyone who's going to see this? Like, what would your advice be to somebody just starting out?
Anyone just starting out, like working out or just trying to work out and get the nutrition in check, I would just say the biggest thing is just stay consistent. No matter like what program you're following, no matter what you're doing, you got to stay consistent with it, because if 1 week you're on, 1 week you're off, like it's never gonna add up, and you can make all the excuses you want, but you just got to stay consistent is number one in my opinion.
And from the training side, because that's good with anything, but especially for this, without consistency, you get nothing.
Yeah.
Was any exercise or two that is more effective than something else? You notice certain things are more giving you more bang for your buck than something else?
I don't think there's any like special exercise. I think like as long as you're hitting like every body part, doing different movements for that body part, like moving your own body weight too, doing stuff like that. I think as long as you're just working the muscles and progressing, like it doesn't really matter what movements you're doing. Some movements people have better form in, some like everyone's body's built different. Some people can just do things easier and they're just easier for them. So you kind of just find out what works for each person. You kind of tailor it to them.
So what would be your advice, or maybe you saw something that works, something that doesn't work nutrition-wise? What any tips?
So for nutrition, myself, I've done like many different diets, from like just eating as much as possible to get as big as possible, to eating clean and tracking calories to get as big as possible, tracking calories to lose weight. But I think the biggest thing is no matter what you're doing, either whether you're tracking calories or eating clean, you just gotta stay consistent with it. Like I said before, it's all about consistency.
Do you have any preference, or maybe your clients have any preference for certain type of diets or certain?
Yeah. So like I have different diets that like I can help people with. Like some people, I would recommend like tracking calories. Some people I've helped that don't track calories, and we just cut out all processed foods and we just focus on a whole foods diet. I think that's like the best diet for your overall health, because your health isn't only what's on the outside, it's also like what's on the inside. And a lot of food here in America is highly processed that you don't even really realize. So like I've done calorie tracking versus like just focusing on ingredients.
Do you get into any specialized diets? Is there any difference between like athletic performance and somebody, let's say, just trying to lose weight?
Yeah, I think definitely as an athlete, you definitely need to be eating more for sure, because you're running, you're lifting, you're practicing. You definitely need to be replacing what you're spending. So definitely as an athlete, you gotta be able to eat more. But like for weight loss and muscle gain, you don't need to be really eating as much as an athlete. Just finding out like what your metabolic rate is and kind of adjusting your calories to that.
When you first start with somebody, do you have them keep like a diary so you have an idea like what the base caloric needs are? Because I'm sure people are different.
Yeah, so like when someone starts out with me, I'll have them like kind of just like have them do what they're doing, like what they normally eat, and just have them write it down for me like a week or two. Just write down everything you eat, and then I'll look at it, and then I'll just give them like ideas of what they can change, or they can come in and I'll teach them like about like what's really in food, like what's the ingredients in that food, or like how the calories can add up, like that you don't even realize.
Okay, so in closing, do you want to mention something that maybe we didn't cover yet?
Pretty much like
just come to Performance Incorporated and then, and start training.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for.
Hopefully, people will get a chance to see this and maybe they'll get some idea of what's going on here.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.